Welcome to Fostering Blooms, the podcast where we dig deep into gardening and all the ways it can enrich your home and life.
Together, we'll explore every aspect of gardening the organic way, keeping it simple, accessible, and fun.
Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just getting your hands in the dirt, we're here to share the tips and insights you need to grow something truly special. I'm Shannon Foster Boleen.
And I'm Caitlin Blum, and we're two friends on a mission to cultivate beauty, creativity, and connection through everything we grow.
This is Fostering Blooms.
When I go to a plant nursery, I get so excited. I just, yes, give me all the plants. But we've become wiser, and there are some plants that we just want to say no thank you to.
Yes.
And no thank you, but thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your presence in the world as a plant, but we have an alternative that we are going to do instead.
Yes.
And we're here to provide those suggestions for you.
This might be a little bit like our most hated plants, but not exactly.
We don't hate these. We just don't want them in our garden. Okay, this is our second episode like this. But we kind of tiptoe, like we just don't want to offend anybody. You might love some of these things.
Oh, yeah. No, I actually know that one of our listeners was like, I just planted a ton of the blah, blah, blah that Shannon said she hates that should be outlawed. And I'm like,
oopsie. So we're trying to be sensitive to whatever your tastes are in life.
Yes. But, so you're allowed to hate things, right? And what I will say is that some of these plants that we're talking about today, I will tell you if I actually hate the plant, but I will give you a reason why. Sometimes it's just that it's not a great decision because you don't even realize it's going to be invasive or problematic or get too big or it's not good for pollinators or there's a better option. It can be a lot of things.
We've done it. We've done it.
That's why they're on here, is because if we haven't done it, we almost did it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Or admired it in the past and didn't know better.
Yeah.
So it's okay. We're just here to advise a little bit on what we'd say no thank you to.
Correct. I will start off with, and I don't know if this is just especially popular in the South, but the Bradford Pear is such a bad decision. And the problem for so many people is that general landscapers, and I'm not trying to be down on general landscapers, but they just go for the quick, easy, it's going to live and it's not that expensive. And I say that with all due respect. I worked for a national builder building out their organization, and that's exactly how decisions were made about plants. I didn't get a say in it, by the way. It was like, that's what was going to happen. So Bradford pears, much like Nandinas, are things that just get kind of thrown into neighborhoods. And then people see them and say, oh, look at that pretty white tree. And they go buy it because it grows fast and they need to fill in. And they don't realize, number one, it's going to smell like dead fish when it blooms. Like, it is horrible. I have a neighbor who literally has it on both sides of their driveway. And I think from a distance, it actually looks really pretty, but man, it's got to smell so bad when they're walking in and out. I feel bad for them.
So we have on our driveway 10 Bradford pears.
Yes.
On each side, 5 and 5. And they do look nice. But in the spring, they bloom, and Sierra goes, God, the trees smell awful again. It smells awful. And it really, it's not sweet smelling. And they're just,
they smell bad. And
it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, somebody planted
they're
them.
Huge.
I can't believe that they're that old, because I don't think they are 30 years old, because they tend to split and break and get ruined faster than
1996.
anything else. Yeah, but did they plant them when they built the house?
I'll go back. What I'll do is I'll look on Google Maps. They have this new historical feature now.
Of course she's going to do that.
Go back and look, and I will find out exactly how old these Bradford pears are.
Because
they are older. We've done a good job of keeping them trimmed. We're working with what we've got. Is that what I want there? No. But I'm not going to rip out 10 massive trees and,
No, I get it.
So we've kept them trimmed, and I think that helps.
What we're going to do is we're going to plan for the future, because if some of those trees start to come down, or you do decide, hey, this is the year we are going to rip them all out, because now we have a plan what we're going to replace them with.
What am I going to replace them with, Shannon?
This is what you're going to replace them with. So here is one that I have recently planted myself, and the Latin name is Amelanchier or Serviceberry. And they're really beautiful. I think the one I planted will get to about 15 feet, but there's some varieties that'll get a little bit bigger than that. They have a beautiful fall foliage. The birds love them. Apparently, they're really great for floral arranging, according to multiple florists.
No, thank you. I'm going to give that a yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay, I love this. This is a good game. And then obviously another one that does really well for us, especially in the South, is red buds. I have a group of red buds at the front of our house that the previous owners planted that are absolutely the most breathtaking color in spring. If I take a picture of it, it does zero justice. They're just beautiful. So red buds are great. Also, you could do dogwood. You can do the traditional Cornus Florida, which is the typical dogwood that you see. However, I will tell you, dogwoods, those dogwoods sometimes don't have as long a life expectancy either and can have some issues. What I have really come to value is the Korean dogwood. I have several that were planted here as well, and they get about 25 to 30 feet. They bloom later than Cornus Florida, and I think they're healthier. They have, honestly, a better shape. The other dogwoods kind of can be a little
gangly.
Yeah, whereas these produce like this very nice canopy.
Structured.
Very
I agree.
They're the ones at the side of the podcast room.
Yes.
And they're
beautiful.
Really, really stunning.
Pink dogwood. What's that one?
Well, that's a Cornus Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. But the Korean dogwood, which I don't have the Latin name written down for, but I'll put it in the show notes, it has a white bloom, and the bloom lasts longer than the pink one that I have out there. And it blooms a little later. It's more mid-April into late May in 7B.
That's fantastic. So a little no thank you to the Bradford Pear, and a little yes, please to our redbud dogwoods and serviceberries.
Yes. Okay, so give us another one.
All right, so we're going to say a little no thank you to bamboo. There's a time and place for bamboo, and bamboo forests are beautiful, but they're also really invasive if you don't have the right setting for it. I'll put it that way. You know, if you have an area for it, you're going to corral it and keep it there, and that's its purpose. Great. I would not willingly just plant a bamboo plant in your garden space, because one day that's all you'll have. You will have a bamboo forest.
You will. I will tell you, when I was a new gardener, I did not know, and I thought, oh, that'll be a great possible like border between my neighbor. And fortunately, and I'm still friends with him today, I lived near a native plant expert who
He stopped you.
Yeah, he runs a program called Discover Life in America out of the Smoky Mountains, which I would highly encourage you to check out. They do amazing work with biodiversity and studying species. But he stopped me, and I am forever grateful for that. It's just not, don't do it. So what can we use?
So instead of it, you can do clumping ornamental grasses like miscanthus and native switchgrass. It might not get as tall. If you're looking for a privacy fence, you need to look at you or something else like that. But if you're looking for that more oriental vibe, there are grasses that you can do in lieu of that.
Yeah. And you know, another one I would add in there is I just put in some Hakone grass. The Latin name is really long and hard to say, and I'm probably going to butcher it. So we'll go with Hakone Grass, and I'll put the Latin name in the notes. But it can handle both sun and part shade, and supposedly even shade. And it has this nice kind of clumping, soft, dramatic lime green color to it. I think that we should do an episode on grasses as well, because like one of the no thank yous for me, which is not on here, but if we're talking about grasses, is Mexican feathergrass. It's really invasive. You know, again, just research before you purchase.
Don't impulse buy.
Yeah. Just because they have it at the nursery doesn't always mean that it's the right fit, and be careful. All right.
What else? What's next?
Okay. This one might surprise people, because when I say the word clematis or clematis, however you want to say it, we think of all the beautiful flowers, the vining plants, some evergreen, some deciduous, but the sweet autumn clematis is actually invasive. And
I didn't know.
it's shocking, isn't it? You know, for example, like grasses, right? You think, oh, it's in the store, you plant the grass, it's a grass, like it's going to be fine.
They're looking out for my best interests
Right.
at this nursery.
Right. I don't know that you're going to find a sweet autumn clematis at every nursery, but if you do run across one or your friend says, hey, take a cutting of mine, you need to make sure that you say, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Because it's not going to be a happy situation for you in the
No.
end. Going back to the groupings of plants, just because there's a group of plants doesn't always mean that everything in that group is okay or everything in that group is necessarily bad. So,
What should we say yes please to
yeah,
instead?
really, I mean, honestly, any clematis other than that, you can say yes please to. I mean, there's a native look-alike called Clematis virginiana, but there's also other white or vining deciduous clematis. There's a clematis that is evergreen that you can do that's kind of an alpine version. I mean, the one thing I will say with any vine is that check the size, because even if it's not considered invasive, like the Montanas, for example, got really big. I'm trying to find a good white one right now for a 6 to 8 foot obelisk. And there's several that I almost push the buy button on online because I love the way that it look, but the final growth pattern is going to be way too big.
Wow.
So Fragrant Star is one that I've landed on. That's an 8 footer that I'll buy online. But yeah, really clematis is a great group overall. That's just one that you would want to stay away from.
Good suggestion. Very good. Next is our Stella d'Ora. And what is that? When you say it, like, what is Stella d'Ora? And it's actually a daylily. And it's a very well-known daylily. If you see yellow daylilies around, it's probably this one.
Every shopping center in America has a Stella d'Oro out front of it.
Yes, and it's your classic yellow daylily. Now, we are not knocking daylilies. There's a lot of beautiful daylilies out there.
Yeah.
We are just kind of knocking this most common one that you see everywhere. And really, why don't we like it? A, it's everywhere. Okay, let's get some uniqueness going on here. There's not a lot of nectar in there for the pollinators. And there's so many other choices that you can choose instead of to get that same look if you like that yellow vibe, you know. And they multiply way more than you want them to.
Yeah.
And that might be a reason that some places, if them so they do multiply and fill in an area.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know, there are other things that can do that are just a little bit more added value to your garden. So instead of those, we're going to suggest Coreopsis, and we've both planted some of that seed.
Yep.
And then blanket flower as well. Both of those have that same pretty yellow, if that's what you're looking for, and they're a lot better for your pollinators.
Yeah, I will say with blanket flower that I have a little bit of mixed emotions on that one because that one can even get a little spready, but I would still do that over the Stella d'Oro.
I dug out so much of this daylily. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, there really are so many. There's so many.
Such a 90s, such 90s.
I know we need to do like an episode
We're
on
gonna
like
do a
plants from decades. You know, one thing that I want to grow, and I think if you're into yellow, you might want to grow it too, is the giant scabiosa. So it's like the regular scabiosas, but it's like this really vibrant yellow, and it gets really tall, like 6 feet tall.
Cool.
You know, I mean, you've got some cone flowers that'll get that tall, black-eyed Susans. There's just plenty of options in yellow, and like Caitlin said, better for pollinators and better for birds that want seed.
I just like have a stink face on. And you know what? I really shouldn't even say that because I gave all of my yellow daylilies to my mother-in-law. But they love them.
Are we going to name this episode Plants That You Give to Your Mother-in-Law? Because she loves her mother-in-law.
I do. I love her dearly. I'm
great.
So blessed. I feel bad as I'm saying this, but she really loves them, and so does my Mimi, and they actually brought a bunch down. They've put the daylilies in there, and they've all come up, and it actually looks really nice.
Yeah.
There are other alternatives, but like there's a place for everything. I'm glad that they took them, and they could make a place for them.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I do like some daylilies.
I had a friend that was a daylily breeder, and she had beautiful varieties. I think, you know, what was in then is not in now.
And I would say one thing too, when we're talking about plants to say no thank you to in a nursery, it could be a physical location for you. It could be a big box store. It could be a local nursery like Stanley's that we have here, but it also can be a nursery online.
Yeah.
Wherever you are looking, just again, especially with nurseries online, even if they can ship to Tennessee, the plant they have there may be something that is going to be invasive here. In fact, there is a plant that they talk about in England all the time, and I was really like determined I was going to get this as a evergreen hedging plant. And then I started diving into the research, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so invasive. It would be horrible here.
Wow.
And for example, they have a lot of privet, and that's another one we could put on this list is horrible, horrible invasive. So always do your research and make sure before you go to the cash register. So let me do another one. I'm glad we brought up England because this one is very contentious.
Oh, it is.
And it's Chinese wisteria, which is Wisteria sinensis. And then I would also include Japanese wisteria. So
Wisteria, what? No. It is beautiful though.
okay, yeah. So
I'm going to say no thank you.
Okay, she's going to say no thank you. I'm going to say, well, maybe we can date. I don't know. Because here's the deal. So it's so contentious. I think some of these are so clear cut, but this is why I wanted to do wisteria because I think that the no thank you part is
I'm gonna ruffle some feathers.
Well, yes. Well, I think the no thank you part for me is that you shouldn't just go in there blindly and just grab a wisteria and go. First of all, they get massive. I mean, they grow up entire trees. Like you can drive along the roadside here and see where they have grown up 45, 50, 60 feet in the air through trees. They are invasive if allowed to roam. The thing about the Chinese and the Japanese wisteria is the fragrance is gorgeous and they're beautiful. You can get all these different varieties. I mean, they're absolutely wonderful. And there are places in the UK where they literally have wisteria along an entire building. I mean, the one at, and this is not the entire building, but the one at Hidcote, the trunk of it is like, I don't even know how a medicine ball size around. Like it's massive. And they can live forever. And it's not ruined the foundation of the building. I even read an article written by someone in England claiming it won't ruin the foundation of the building. Others say it does. Should you prune it? Some people say if you prune it once, then you always have to prune it twice a year. So just don't ever prune it because then...
What a risk.
I know. Because
you're allowing it to run amok.
How big is it? Well, if you have a whole building for it to get across, maybe that's a good idea. I don't know.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like a really contentious plant.
Why go there?
That's a good question. So I have an idea of mine for this space where I want to do 2 huge pergolas. There's a pergola at Biltmore in North Carolina where they have wisteria and it's stunning.
It is.
And it's huge. Well, mine's not going to be as fancy as Biltmore, but I would have a pretty good sized space, but I would still have to control it. And it will laugh at those pergolas eventually. So an option is the American wisteria, which is the Wisteria fruticens.
Wow.
Yeah. American wisteria.
Because you know I'm not going to know how to say it. Yep, that's right. Yes, please. Yes, please. You nailed it, honey.
Okay. Good. American wisteria.
Oh, my good old American wisteria. If you're going to choose anything here, folks, it's going to be your good old bred American USA wisteria.
Oh my gosh. Well, yes, that is an option.
Why?
Well, because it's not invasive and is aggressive.
Why US made here?
Right. Why are we doing USA made wisteria? Just because it's not as invasive and it will be more well behaved. I remember even when I was a new gardener, go back to my friend, she's still dying. You know, with all these tariffs, maybe wisteria won't be included and we could just start exporting American wisteria.
Great. There's the answer right there,
that's
folks.
The answer to our economy and everything is American wisteria. You heard it here first.
That's right.
No, I mean, Todd even told me back in the day, my friend I mentioned a minute ago, that wisteria was like, stay away from it. And if you do it, that you get the non-invasive kind, the native kind.
Yeah.
So the one downside to the American wisteria, it just doesn't smell as great. as the Chinese and the Japanese. The reason I say I'm torn is because my heart wants Hidcote wisteria.
Yeah. What does the Biltmore have? Is theirs?
I guarantee you it's a Chinese or a Japanese, just the smell and the way that it looks. Now, I shouldn't say I guarantee you because I can't, but I am 95% sure that it's not American.
They would do.
And that's the thing, is that I am not going to plant it up against the foundation. But, you know, a lot of times too, you have to think about the root system is going to be huge. And is it near things that it could destroy, like a septic system or sewer area or whatever, which in this case it would not be. But again,
think about though,
it's also what happens after I leave this property.
Are they going to care for it the same way, you know?
Correct.
Yeah. What are you leaving? What I'm putting in right now going to benefit someone down the line. Not that you need to plan your garden that way, but that's very responsible plant ownership.
Thank you. I think you have to think about it, because my examples are National Trust properties. So of course they're going to care for it, and they have professional gardeners there. I do feel a sense of like, I can't control everything, but what I do leave behind, I have to think about that. So.
That's great. You're so responsible.
Oh, well, you know. Okay.
Last one here for the no thank you list is Forsythia.
Oh man.
I used to love Forsythia. We had a bush of it at our old house, and I always thought it was so pretty. It is one of the first things to bloom in spring. Those beautiful yellow flowers, they get gangly as hell. You don't take care of it. So you better be ready to do some serious cleanup every year. And then such a short bloom time. It's like they're there and they're gone, bam. And their pollen or nectar providing capabilities are very minimal.
Yeah. And they are spready and invasive. Where the rose garden is now, it had probably 10. I mean, it probably didn't start off as 10. There was probably 5.
Oh.
And it was like a thicket. I mean, it was a thicket that they were, it really was. It was like a forsythia forest that the landscapers were having to like dig out. Again, it's one of those commercial shrubs that gets used a lot because it's super low maintenance, meaning it's going to live when they put it in the ground with people ignoring it.
Yeah.
But it's really not low maintenance. So what are some alternatives? What can we say yes to?
All right. We're going to say yes, please, to the spice bush.
I think you need a spice bush because you've been getting real spicy.
I have been. It is beautiful. So I want to tell you, when we were doing our research on this, I was like, what is a good alternative? I'm not going to act like I knew what a spice bush was before.
Yeah.
It is so similar looking. Like you might be a little, I want to say the naked eye, but to someone who's not well seasoned, you might think it's kind of in the same realm. The flowers are a little bit smaller, but there's more of a dense formation of these little clusters of flowers.
Oh.
Very beautiful, and so much more pollen and nectar to offer in that time of year. They bloom a little bit longer, and then in the fall they have really beautiful fall foliage, leaves on them. The forsythia, I don't even know what it does in the fall. It just drops its leaves.
Yeah.
Lame. So
loser.
No, thank you.
Loser plant.
Yes, please, to the spice bush. It was beautiful. It's a really cool alternative. I was like, I didn't know about
really
this.
Cool, yeah.
And I'm going to find somewhere to put you in my yard.
See, we really want to bring you some good stuff. And I think one of the other alternatives was witch hazel, right?
Yes, yes.
And you know what I love about that?
We need to look into that too.
Yes, I have considered witch hazel. And first of all, I think it's got like this very funky, edgy like vibe with the little, it looks like a little starburst flower, you know. But I'm also pretty fascinated because witch hazel's used so much in herbalism.
Medicinally, it's very interesting to see how we can capitalize on that.
I feel like it is. I want to learn a little bit more about witch hazels because I do want to do a kind of hedgerow along the edge of the forest and have some plants there that it's not just like one solid thing like a hedge, but like an actual hedgerow. And I think, witch hazel might be a candidate.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, I think that is it for today's list of no thank you.
And a little bit of yes, please, to some alternatives.
Yes. I have a feeling we'll be doing another one of these.
Yeah.
Because we have some opinions.
We want to share these with you.
Right. These opinions. All right. Well, let's go get dirty.
All right. Let's go grow, baby.
Love what you hear? Follow along and leave us a review to keep us inspired. If you've enjoyed listening, you can also watch us on our YouTube channel at Fostering Blooms. Let's go grow, baby!